Hey, readers, welcome back. You know, I just keep thinking about Will and popularity. Not only are we starting to think about his traits and those that are dominant, we're also discovering that whenever we read, to expect characters to show more than just one trait, because characters are complicated. This is true in popularity, but also in the books that we're reading independently. So today, I want to teach you that in complicated stories, characters reveal themselves over time. Experienced readers like you are alert to new details, and they are ready to rethink and revise their first ideas in the face of new evidence. I thought we could give this a shot with Will's traits and popularity. First, we have an idea about a character. So, remember we said that Will seemed bitter? Let's try that today. Let's work with that trait. So now that we have an idea about the character, the next thing to do is to read on with that theory in mind, and we'll look for some compelling evidence to support it. Do you want to give that a shot? Let's look for evidence that Will seems bitter. So let's look back at the beginning of this text. Just take a minute to scan it. As I look back at the beginning, I think I see some evidence that seems pretty strong. It's where Will talks about how much he hates picking clovers with the Allens. Do you see that? And another is that he's been doing this for 6 months. Are you noticing these parts of the text as well? I'm going to add each of these pieces of evidence to what I'll call a theory chart. Let me show you that. So now that I have this evidence on my theory chart, where I'm trying to weigh whether or not Will is bitter or he's sarcastic, and I have some strong pieces of evidence from the text, I think the next thing I should do is to look at a later part of the text. So let me look for that. So, hey, do you remember this part? It's after Will leaves the Allens and he joins the popular kids. I'm not so sure that he's still bitter. Is he bitter or is he something else? Does his personality change? Let's look at this part together. I wondered what my position in the group might be. I certainly wasn't a great athlete, student, or ladies' man, but I did have a sense of humor. Maybe I could be the second funniest boy in the 4th grade. My thoughts went no further because the bell-ending recess rang. But that night, just before I fell asleep, I saw myself standing in the center of the popular boys, telling the funniest stories anyone had ever heard. I saw Sean Owens doubled up with laughter. I saw myself triumphant. Readers, what I'm doing here is something you can do. I'm taking a trait and thinking about whether it really holds true across the text. I was thinking Will was just going to be bitter forever, but as I read on, he seems different. Did you see that? I'm thinking he changes across the story. Have you ever met someone and formed a quick opinion about them? And then as time goes by, you realize that that person isn't exactly who you thought they were originally? Characters in books can be that way too. So it's super important to look across the book, gather evidence, and realize that evidence will often change your theory about the character. Now I'm seeing a different side of Will. Later in the story, he imagines the new position he wants in the group with great detail. He seems hopeful, maybe even confident that he can achieve his goal. And this makes me think he's more optimistic than I realized before. Maybe it wasn't so much that he was bitter, but longing. I've quickly jotted this on another post-it to show how my ideas, my theories about a character are changing as new evidence is revealed. Readers, see what we just did? We read on, remaining alert to evidence in the text that might add to or change our thinking. We collected more evidence about a character's traits and weighed it against our initial theories. And we captured this new thinking on a theory chart. So as you head off to read today, start thinking about your plan for your work. You might look over your post-it notes and notebook pages for ideas you had about a character from the book you're reading. You might pick one idea that you have about a character's traits and hold on to that trait and think about a new part of the story, asking yourself, do you see more evidence of that trait, or is there new evidence that pushes you to revise your thinking? You might start a theory chart like we've done for will and popularity, and then look forward in the text and notice how these new pages you're reading inform your chat or challenge your initial ideas. I've added this work to our anchor chart, and I'll leave it here for you as you go off to read. Remember, as you read, collect more evidence that supports your theory, or make a decision to revise your theories. All right, readers, off you go.